today about Saturn retrograde in Pisces. This is the last time that we will see Saturn in Pisces for the next 28 years. And so anytime a planet, especially a slower moving one, retrogrades back to the end of the zodiac, it is worth paying attention to because that motherfucker's got some bite. Like it pops out of nowhere and it can feel very karmic and very heavy and just sort of like, oh my God, I gotta like deal with this heaviness now. It could feel like being at the end of the rope. But the good news is that we can look for the opportunities to see where we can use this for the positive, the inspirational side of Pisces. And so I'm speaking specifically to the creatives, the entrepreneurs, the leader types that know that you've got big decisions to make during this time. The world's changing, certain ways of like how we do work and our reality, they're just not working as well anymore. And so tuning more into the energetic nuances of things is really the key, which is a very Pisces thing. And so Saturn's here to go, how do we iron out the kinks in our reality to make sure that like we're being gung-ho about our dreams, like our ambitions, like this is like spiritual legacy stuff. This is like rock out with your cock out, like get it going. You know, Saturn kind of gets drowned out a little bit in Aries. You would think that it's a good thing because it's all about Aries initiate forward. But in Pisces, it's good because at least it's boundless. Sure, Saturn can weigh us down and we can feel like we're drowning. This is definitely a time to like get on top of crazy fears, past traumas, that sort of thing, so that we can be sort of in a spiritual center of ourselves, coming from the seat of our soul, making decisions instead of making decisions from fear. So when it comes to like moving forward in your business, moving forward with your creative projects, making sure that it's not coming from a place of lack, survival, feeling like it's all over. Like this is the time, I would say, to like really embody the spiritual essence of self, embody your astrology, embody your human design, embody your gene keys, like where you're walking it fully, like you're being the rhythm of your own soul, which is really just a way of following your true calling. You're following your truth. You're following inspiration, not fear, lack, limitation. So if anyone wants support at looking at their astrology during this time, or human design or gene keys, of course, reach out. But this is where, you know, we can really focus on like what is actually like working, like what we know is like worked for us, that like continues to work, and sort of like starve the patchwork of like trying to fix things, where we can really align with the divine timing of things, like our soul, like feeling inspired. Like we're such energetic beings, we're so vibrational that it's like if we're showing up to task and it's feeling heavy, out of obligation, there's sort of like a guilt heaviness like to it, that prevents positive energy from coming in, right? The energy is just meeting us where we're at. And so Saturn, in this very like way of like how we make decisions, how we deal with business, how we grow up and show up and mature and have our discipline, it depends where our energy is at. And it's not wrong to get stuck in the fear, the trauma, the existential crisis, the disbelief that the dreams could ever come true, not feeling like we have it in the tank. You know, this can get into like a false sense of intuition if we're not grounded. Like Saturn wants us to like really ground into the integrity of like what is spiritually more substance based of things. It's not wrong to end up in those areas, but it's like Saturn's the timekeeper. It's like, how long do we stay in it? How long do we stay in the rut? How long do we stay in the mud? And so really this alignment with this divine timing piece of the decision making, the intuitive flow, I mean, really this is how you build a business on the new earth. It really is about the inspiration, the divine timing of the flow. It's not the South Node Virgo, and of course I'll talk about the eclipses in another video because this is big time territory, but it's like, it's not about trying to piece more together. You know, I had a client the other day, it's like, I'm going to do all this stuff. It's like, whoa, let's maybe come more from, you know, that intuitive knowing of how his human design operates, how his astrology operates, because there's more success, there's more fulfillment, there's more substance in following what is true, because the opposite of it is like where we become a slave to life. We become, enslaved to it, like a serf, like in a castle, like the freaking, you know, King Arthur, like the whole cartoon like version of it, like when he was getting bullied, where he was like the ward or whatever, and had to carry all the armor around. He's like getting beat up, and it's like where to some extent we can sometimes at some point still maybe do that to ourselves and be like, I have to go do this thing. So if you're in any of that or still stressed about that, it's definitely time to drop that. Job, relationship situations, big time. Because, this whole new earth business building aspect of things, it is the embodiment of like your frequency, and that the business reflects your energy. And so you get into a flow with Saturn here where things can actually start to transcend time, transcend reason, transcend logic, where it's like, whatever, I'm just like putting the energy like into this thing. Now, when you look at the rest of the zodiac, it has to be tangible. This isn't like some, Jack and the Beanstalk like thing where it's like a cautionary tale where we like reach too high, like for pipe dreams. But this is more about how do we go for like the dependable dreams, right? The ones that are actually dependable in terms of like, okay, I can actually understand that there are steps that will get me to that next space and not run into delays or blocks. Because that's the thing with Saturn and Pisces, it's like we can build our dreams, but we have to have the energy, we have to have the resolve, and it has to be able to actually be built and not just like become this thing of like going into like Wonderland and just like meditating on it. So there's an opportunity like of infusing the energy into like these creations like during this time, such that we can start to birth what can seem like little miracles, like quantum leaps in fortune, maybe even in timelines where it's like, oh, I'm magnetizing resources, I'm magnetizing wealth just because of the aura, the embodiment of things. And so Saturn's not going to let us do some like white lie shit, like fake it till you make it. Like we actually have to really just choose inspiration. We have to choose coming from a soul aligned place to like really show up. And this is what is on the other side of this old matrix program of having to work all the hours, the burnout. It's not that we don't show up and work hard and expend our energy, but it's coming from a pretty clear place in terms of like, okay, like I know that I want to create some awesome shit and something wants to come through me. So why hesitate? Because the thing with Saturn and Pisces is that the fears compound in the subconscious, and then they plug into past fears or traumas the more that we hesitate on them. And so it's like when we feel that intuitive knowing to show up, it's like we got to pull the trigger and, get over the sensitivities of it, because it becomes more sensitive, like not pulling the trigger, making the decision. So, I mean, this is really about just owning it fully, like in whatever it is that you're creating, whether you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, solopreneur, just a very talented, creative person. It's the infusion of the energy and the creation that is one of the most important things right now. Because one thing I can tell you personally is like as soon as Saturn retrograded back into Pisces on September 1st, it was like, as an empath and someone that holds a lot of space for a lot of territory in the Midwest, it was like, holy fucking shit, people are grieving and going through it. And we do need to do that, depending on, the karmic decisions that we made. It's Saturn, retrograde in Pisces. Like, grief is there to come up, old traumas, fears, but it's a surrender. It's not like making it our job to heal. It's like let the sensitivities like show where things are and surrender and see. It's like, oh, do I need to make space for this so I can feel into this? Maybe it needs to be an activity like moving the body or exercise, because Saturn's very much like that structure. It's like sometimes there's a tool or something that needs to come in. Like things need a container to express the sensitivity, Pisces. It needs a container to express the dream, express the creation. And so the hesitation part though goes like, I'm doubting my dreams, or it's like an unconscious way of choosing, I'm gonna like dwell in my irrational fears or past life traumas or hang-ups and all this different stuff. And unfortunately, that's probably a majority of the population. But the nice thing is that those that have already struck out on their own, already understand the risk involved, right? In terms of like moving away from more of a traditional 9 to 5. And it's interesting, my son was like on me about, he's a Virgo. He's like, don't be so hard on people that work a 9 to 5. It's okay if you have the job, all good. Just what I would be checking in with is like making sure it's not like the show Severance on Apple, where it's like you're having to like cut off a part of who you are to go into that 9 to 5 matrix system to make money, or that work or something in life that is keeping you busy is a distraction from the grief or sensitivities that maybe need to sometimes come up to make space for the inspiration, to make space for the creation. And so, this is kind of like the wax on, wax off thing with Mr. Miyagi, but if it was like, you do wax on, wax off, it's like you feel the sensitivities, the grief, the traumas, whatever's got to come up. But then it's like zing, whatever. It's like time to like go. Like, it's not a fight. It's not a karate fight. It's more like the discipline of like being in honor, because Pisces is about that selfless service. So Saturn wants that honor to go, hey, show up to the conflicts in life, right? Like, it's not that like this is all like some freeloading universe, right? Where we don't have some challenges and we don't have responsibilities. We clearly have those, but it's really showing up to it with a sense of integrity, doing the right thing, being that light worker type person that inspires others. And so think of this like in your creations, in your business, like being ethical, right? Like, what is the reason? What is the conviction behind the action, the decision, the creation? Is it coming from fear? Is it coming from, I'm just inspired to do this creation and this service? And that is what really kind of snowballs in a positive way that's very effective. So if you want more help than that, if you want to go deeper into your personal astrology and talk about what it is that you're creating, or you want help with more of that embodiment with your astrology, your human design, your gene keys, so that we can start doing less of this puzzle piecing together, so that South Node Virgo stuff, because this is the uploading program for 2027 that we're still in. And even though, Neptune will come back to Pisces and Uranus will come back to Taurus, it's like, this is that timing where it's like, those that succeed and get ahead are the ones that are already finding their rhythm with this. And it's not about being behind. It's an equal playing field, right? It's Pluto in Aquarius. It's Uranus still in Gemini for now. And so it's more so like the timeline shifts, the life can randomly shift, the circumstances can start to shift like rather quickly, and these like connections and like breakthroughs like can happen. But it starts with the energy, it starts with showing up, it starts with getting over the sensitivities. Trust me, you'll be glad that you did. And yeah, see y'all next time.